New tonight at 10 Investigates, we are digging into assaults inside youth correction centers in Ohio.
When I applied there, I expected at some point I might be shoved or I might be hit or knocked down in some way. I did not anticipate half a dozen kids while I'm by myself jumping me and beating me. Held tighter.
The man you just heard from is a former youth correction staffer who says he's still recovering from an assault at work earlier this year. He's not alone. The latest numbers from the Department of Youth Services, DYS, shows dozens more assaults in 2025 than in several previous years.
10 Investigates' Rochelle Aline sat down with the woman who runs DYS. She says they're working on solutions, and one of those fixes may have to come down to a law change.
Daniel Smith says he started working at the Circleville Juvenile Correctional Facility to help troubled youth.
We're more or less, we're their parents while we're there.
But he says that mission ended in a violent assault back in February.
More people came into the laundry room and they started kicking me and hitting me. They were striking me in the head. I remember saying, "God, please stop."
Smith was able to fight the boys off. He hasn't been able to work since.
I had brain bleeds, skull fractures. My nose was so bad they had to do plastic surgery on it, and they weren't sure if I'd still have a septum afterwards.
And state data shows Smith isn't alone. According to DYS numbers, after holding steady for several years, there were nearly 70 more assaults on staff between 2024 and 2025.
First of all, I don't want anybody to come to work and fear they're going to be assaulted.
That's Amy Ast. She's the director for the Department of Youth Services. We first brought this issue to her in late April, and she told us the population they serve is challenging.
These are the highest risk, highest needs, most violent, 450 kids in the state of Ohio. So it is tough work.
But she added that much of the violence is typically carried out by a small number of the youth they serve.
About 85–90% of the kids don't put their hands on anybody on any given month.
Weeks after that interview, the facility saw another violent assault. This time, 3 teens attacked staff members and destroyed parts of their unit. The DYS director says the trio was on a separate unit because of violent behavior, and 2 of them were specifically there for assaulting Daniel Smith back in February.
Our core mission is to transform and save lives.
In June, we sat down with that director again to understand what happens next. She told us all of the youth involved in both assaults are facing new criminal charges, but she's also asked the court to decide if these teens need to be bumped up to the adult prison system.
That happens, doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I think the courts get it right.
However, she added that a broader solution will require a law change. In Ohio, DYS can take people up to the age of 21. Director Ast says that distinction has allowed some of their most violent offenders to serve a few years in an adult facility and then come right back to finish up their juvie court sentence. She's now working with lawmakers to close what she's calling a loophole in the law.
When a young person is charged and found guilty in an adult court, they should be in an adult system.
But as she waits, she says DYS still has to care for many of these youth. And while she says they will always work to train on best practices, she added that this doesn't include matching a youth's level of aggression.
Is the response more force?
So to manage them like we would an adult would be highly inappropriate. There isn't a juvenile system in the country that does that.
To top this all off, Ohio is one of many states dealing with staffing shortages in this industry. And the director tells me they're working on recruitment. And in the long run, she said the state is looking to move youth to smaller facilities to help staff keep a better handle on things. In the studio, Rochelle Aline, 10 TV News.
Rochelle, thank you. If you have a story you want our 10 Investigates team to look into, just email 10investigates@10tv.com.